Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, and a very happy hump day from everybody here at Prime Sports World, and a happy Ash Wednesday if you do partake in Ash Wednesday. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman. Right there's the birthday boy, my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins, and TJ has officially joined the ranks of the old here today.
No, no. Hey, as long as I still get carded, I am forever young.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, my friend. We are finishing off our NFL
Wait,
off.
real quick, bro. Like I went and saw Nosferatu when it came out in theaters.
Yeah,
I got carded.
man, they're just being nice to you. You don't look
I
like you're
no,
17.
I swear, like, bro, I legit asked the person. I'm all like, bro, I don't look old enough to go see Nosferatu. Like, I don't look like I can just walk in here, show you my ticket on my phone for Nosferatu, and you just say enjoy the show. Dude, dead ass was like, I need to see some ID. I'm all
Man,
like,
well, kudos to you because this shit doesn't happen to me no more. I'm old as hell. We're going to be finishing up our NFL offseason previews. This is our NFC East division. This includes the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Without further ado, let's just get right into the nitty and the gritty. And fucking first about the New York Football Giants. They have the third overall pick in this upcoming draft. They got some big names when it comes to free agency. Nobody that really you care all that much about. Darius Slayton is a fine receiver. Isaiah Simmons, who they traded for 2 seasons ago, hasn't really panned out in the NFL. Many people thought he would. Dory Jackson, a good corner. Azeez Ojulari, many people thought he would take a major step forward. Never really happened. Jason Pinnock, I think, is their long snapper. $48 million of cap space. Their GM and their head coach are on the hottest seat probably in the NFL right now with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. John Mara, team president, Sean, yeah, whatever. How should the Giants approach free agency and the NFL draft? And TJ, you got the floor first because it is your birthday, my friend.
I just want to, real quick, just give a shout out to Peyton Pritchard. I know this is not a NBA thing, but Peyton Pritchard is having a career night right now. Right now, he has 41 points in 40 minutes on 14 of 20 shooting and 10 of 16 from 3.
Wow.
He is on a fucking heater. But anyway, if you're the Giants, how do you approach everything? Pray. Fucking pray.
Yeah, if Kristen Simpson were here, he'd be like, yeah, they need to do some praying.
So to kick this off, it all goes back a year ago where you just decided to let Saquon Barkley walk. You didn't trade him. You didn't get anything for him. You let him go. And the worst possible outcome happened.
Yeah, he goes on to win Offensive Player of the Year. He ends up winning the Super Bowl, and he rushes for 2,000 yards.
Right, he goes to your division rival, and then he proceeds to do everything David just listed. Rush for 2,000 yards, wins Offensive Player of the Year, was probably the MVP on in some people's minds, and wins a Super Bowl. That being said, yeah, me personally, again, I disagree that Dayball's seat is hot. I understand why you think it is, because if Joe Schoen gets fired, the new GM is going to want his own guy. Therefore, Dayball is probably out. But again, Dayball's argument to that is, I got Daniel Jones to the playoffs. What other coach can say that? Right? So yeah. I got Daniel Jones to the playoffs. Like, Daniel Jones was a playoff caliber QB. And we won a playoff game with Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll can say, I won a playoff game. I got a playoff victory out of Daniel Jones, bro. That being said, like, what do they do at 3? It's evident. If you gotta go quarterback. You have to. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, whoever's not taking first overall has to be the next quarterback, because I don't expect Cleveland to go quarterback at 2. Just don't just not seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, they run the. I said this on another show earlier. If I'm the Giants, I want to have control over this situation. I'm trading up to the first overall pick, whatever it takes. Like if it
Oh
takes me
yeah,
to,
I'm not
if
leaving. I'm not leaving nothing to chance.
yeah, I'm not leaving. I'm not sitting there at 3 and hoping that a quarterback falls to me. No, if it requires me to take, if it requires me to do 3 first round picks and whatever else that they may want. I'm getting the quarterback that I want, whether that be Cam Ward or Sador Sanders. The Giants, their number one priority should be trading up to the first overall pick. Period. You're the Giants. You play in the biggest market in the NFL. You cannot continue to be both these New York teams are just trash. But
trash.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit with Devontae Adams. They just released Devontae Adams for literally nothing in the Jets.
Nothing,
but
bro.
I mean, the Giants, they fumbled up the Saquon Barkley situation. They fumbled up the Stat and Daniel Jones situation. This is a football team. You have to find a way to trade up for the first overall pick, whether that be giving up 3 first-round picks or 2, really 2, because you're just going to swap this season and then 2 next year, the following seasons. You do that.
Absolutely. Darius Slayton. I've always liked Darius Slayton. I feel like he should stay on this team. Isaiah Simmons just hasn't been able to find a home. I think a big issue with that is how he still looked at how he was used in college. Because when he was at Clemson, he was everything. He was used as an edge. He was used as a safety. He was used as a linebacker. And when you're like that, when you're that Swiss Army knife on when you're that type of Swiss Army knife, NFL teams they play stupid, and it's like I don't know what to do with you. And then they try to put you in all these different packages where you're literally doing some of everything. Like one drive, you the edge, another drive, you're the linebacker, another drive, you're the safety, and you don't look good doing any of them because you're doing them all at once, as opposed to just saying, this is what you are, this is what you're going to be, focus on that. I think Isaiah Simmons, first off, can play on any team.
I agree. I just don't know how much money he's potentially worth. Like, I mean, how much money would you want to commit to him? I also have a hard time believing that, obviously the Giants, you were trying to trade Ojulari and Slayton kind of towards the trade deadline. But, I mean, are you going to risk now losing those 2 guys for nothing? No, I think you try to bring those 2 guys back. And I would probably bring back Adoree Jackson. I would probably bring back Isaiah Simmons. I probably would bring back Drew Lock just as a veteran
security.
Yeah, I would probably bring him back. I'd probably let Tommy DeVito walk. But yeah, this is you could make the argument this could be the most important offseason in Giant football history, because if they don't get this right, it could be another 10 years of pain and suffering for Giants fans like our boy at the Daily Blitz.blog, Christian Simpson.
Not really. Because if you,
I know he doesn't care, but
no. Like what I mean by not the 10-year thing. Like, no, bro. Because again, you gonna be in the archman if you're not able to get a quarterback this go round. It ain't like you ain't finna be in the archman sweepstakes a year from now either.
Yeah,
that's true.
If they pass out a quarterback and bring in a veteran like I don't know, Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins or whoever else, right?
They could. Hey, what if Jackson Dart falls to 34?
Yeah, I mean, maybe
that can happen. What if Jalen Milroe falls to 34? That can happen.
I think he'll for sure to fall to 34. He's probably a second round pick.
Yeah, he's absolutely a second round. It's I don't know what the grade is on Jalen Milroe.
I mean, people they want to give Jalen Hurts comparisons to him, and I see it, but
Jalen Hurts, like his narrative literally changed when he went to Oklahoma, because it was that's all the fuck they did was pass the ball. Like Jalen Milroe at Alabama kind of did leave a lot to be desired.
100%
throwing the ball wise.
And then, I mean, we talk about this regularly with the Giants. I mean, outside of Andrew Thomas, when it comes to their offensive line. I mean, Evan Neal has been an absolute train
Has
wreck
not
at
worked.
right. Yeah, at right tackle. I mean, this is an offensive line that hasn't been remotely good, and you can kind of accredit a lot of the lack of success at the quarterback position to what they've put in front of them with this offensive line.
Yeah, and again, it's that's where it starts. Like I don't care how good your quarterback is. Like perfect example was what we literally just saw in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
Pat Mahomes is already in the GOAT discussion, right? There are people out there that say Pat Mahomes is already better than Tom Brady. Pat Mahomes was running for his life in that Super Bowl because his offensive line just couldn't compete. If you don't have a line, you don't have an offense. If you don't have a line, you don't like. I don't care. So you can get Cam Ward, you can get Shador Sanders, you can get Jackson Dart in the second round. It does not matter if the guys in front of him suck. If those
yeah,
dudes, those bro, we watched
and
Saquon Barkley's first 5 years of his career. How many times do we have to see Saquon Barkley dance in the backfield just to get back to the line of scrimmage so it wasn't a negative loss?
yeah, and I mean Andrew Thomas has been fine at left tackle, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy, like remotely healthy for his most of his career. This defense, on the other hand, I actually do like some of the pieces on this defense. I mean Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Bobby Oruguerite,
Yeah,
Devon
okay, yeah.
Thibodeau. I mean, this is a pretty solid. Like when you look at the defensive side of the ball, I mean, this is a pretty solid defense. I mean, their secondary leaves something to be desired, but I still think there's talent here, and I think there's pieces that you can build around. But it all starts and ends at the quarterback position. Until you find the right guy, you got to continue taking shots at this. I mean, you tried Daniel Jones, you tried
Didn't
Drew
work.
Lock, you tried
Didn't
Tommy
work.
DeVito. This is time to hit the reset button. And you got a head coach and a GM. I know you said the coach is like if this doesn't work out this season, they're both going to get fired.
Like
Period.
me, so it's this is just me though. Like if it was me, I wouldn't fire Dayball. I would fire Sean. I
I
would
think
fire,
I think if you bring in a GM, they're going to want to have their own guy. But
and I'm not saying don't do that. I 100% get that. You get what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
But I'm also under the impression of Brian Dayball knows what the fuck he's doing. Brian Dayball can coach. Brian
Yeah,
Dayball just
I
ain't
mean
had
he
the
got the best out of Josh Allen. I mean he basically turned his career around.
like.
So and I
Yeah,
mean he had that a magical season with Daniel Jones too.
he
Uh,
so yeah. So how should the Giants approach free agency? One, I said it. Pray, and pray. No, but real talk. Top three priorities. Figure out quarterback. I'm already on the phone with GM candidates. Joe Schoen is not making it past this year.
no,
The
100%.
fact that he has says a lot about the Mara family. Then
I don't think I would not have moved forward with either of these two guys in the building. That's my
you would have
honest
just
opinion.
cleaned house. You would have just cleaned house.
Yeah, because you're probably taking a quarterback, and I don't think like we've seen this game at Chicago where you draft a quarterback and then the next season you fire the head coach and the GM and basically you have a quarterback who has to learn a new system. I would have cleaned house this offseason. I would not have kept either of these two guys. I would have moved on from both of them. Priority
Like,
number two.
so like my question to that is
But
because
as long as this is continuing to be the way you're going to go,
mhm.
you have to get quarterback. You have to figure out your offensive line, and I still think
So
this
like
team could use another weapon outside of Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors,
Like a
absolutely.
really dynamic tight end would really help this offense.
So like my question to that is because the situations are different. Like we now know that here in Chicago, Ryan Poles, even though Matt Eberflus went 7-10 in his second year, he went +4 in the win column. We now know that Ryan Poles wanted to move off of Eberflus that offseason. He wanted a different head coach, and the McCaskey family overruled him. Do you think that in New York that the Maras are just not doing that because in this situation it's the opposite. The head coach is decent, but the GM, it appears the GM has no idea what he's doing.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to really speculate because I'm not in that front office. I'm not in that
That's
building,
what,
but
but that's what we do. This is
I,
literally all speculation.
I'm not sure. I don't know have enough experience with the Giants ownership group to really know. But I know what I would have done if I was remotely involved in this situation. So, you know,
I
I've
mean,
said what I would have done. I would
I
have
mean,
fired
I
everybody.
mean, that's your answer to a lot of teams. You.
Yeah,
Hey, what's fun? You know what's funny? You always get on me about firing people. You, you,
yeah,
you
I know.
fire everyone.
Oh, but yeah, I think wide receiver, offensive line, quarterback, top three priorities. I don't think they're going to fire anybody midseason. I think they'll let this dumpster fire continue in New York.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's
so
bad. It's bad.
and if they don't trade up to get a quarterback and they're sitting there at 3 and they end up with Abdul Carter, which is probably what's going to end up happening because the Giants seem to
Are
be
the
just stuck in
Giants?
their ways. So,
No,
uh,
but that's not the end of the world. Okay, so
no, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I mean, he'd be.
you get Abdul Carter at 3 or Travis Hunter at 3, and then if he's there at
I mean,
34
Travis Hunter. If you get Travis Hunter at 3, he would address 2 of your biggest needs immediately. Like,
immediately, but if you get Travis Hunter at 3, and if he's there at 34, if Jackson Dart is there at 34, oh my God, you win. That's an A plus.
minus the no offensive line, all that noise. But yeah,
That's still an A draft. I would give that draft an A just off the based off those first 2 picks. You get Travis Hunter and Jackson Dart at 3 and 34. That bare minimum, that's a B plus draft. Bare minimum.
moving on from the New York Giants, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, who were all in last season and ended up missing the playoffs. They have the 12th overall pick. Zach Martin, I think, retired, but they do have some big-time free agents, including DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Cooks, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Lewis, Cooper Rush, Linval Joseph, Rico Dowell, Brock Hoffman, Carl Lawson, Carl Watkins, Kavonte Turpin. They're going to have $18 million worth of cap space. Brian Schottenheimer is the brand new head coach of this football team. Jerry Jones, GM. Jerry Jones, team president. How should the Cowboys approach free agency and the draft? And by the way, TJ, did you watch any part of the Jerry Jones, like when he introduced Brian Schottenheimer?
No.
It wasn't exactly like a resounding like. He was like, well, nobody else would have done this. Nobody else would like. It is. You should watch it. It's pretty damn funny. Like he was like, nobody else would have done this. I'm the only one that does this. Like, anyways,
It's
Cowboys. Let's talk about it.
It's now this is real talk. This the team that need to fucking pray. This the fan base that need to pray. Okay. Oh God. All right. So you really finna sit here and tell me with a straight face, by the way, with a straight face that out of Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore leaves. Who becomes the new OC? Mike McCarthy was Mike McCarthy, but they had somebody there. So out of Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, you still could have called Kansas City. You could have requested interviews with Matt Nagy, Spags. You could have got somebody from Cincinnati. You could have got somebody. You could have went to Washington and asked for permission to interview Cliff Kingsbury. You could have called the Rams to interview somebody. You went and you even could have called Josh McDaniels, who was sitting on his couch you could have went and got Vrabel. You could have talked to Bill Belichick.
Well, I mean, Mike Vrabel was actually already hired before they hired Mike McCarthy, so they couldn't.
Okay, they couldn't talk. You could have went and got. You could have talked to Belichick.
And another candidate that was hired after they fired Mike McCarthy, like he was already hired in North Carolina before they fired Mike McCarthy.
But
Because
no. I'm
Yeah.
talking like you could have did the Belichick move a year
Oh
ago.
yeah, I mean they because of how long they waited to move off of Mike McCarthy, they screwed themselves, and they
Hey,
basically had no choice but to hire Brian Schottenheimer, who
oh
you can
no,
make the
David,
argument.
you really like with a straight face. Out of all the names I just listed, you went with Brian Schottenheimer. You
Yeah.
could have just kept Mike fucking McCarthy, bro.
Well,
If that was the
his
fucking
contract was
case.
up, so they would have had to renegotiate, but it just
I
it
don't
didn't.
care.
I get
You
it. I'm just
you would have been better off keeping Mike McCarthy.
Fun fact: Brian Schottenheimer was on that 1996 national championship team in Florida
I
when
was
he was the backup to Danny Warfel in
okay.
'96.
Fun fact: in 1996, I was 2 years old. David already had a full beard.
Yeah, I was already 80. I was already using a walker to get around.
David was probably what 10. Wait, no,
No,
what was
I
eight?
was 8
No,
or
you're
6.
eight,
Yes,
6.
8. Yeah. I
Yeah,
was probably 7 at the time or something like that.
yeah. He was 7 years old. Already had 5 o'clock shadow. Um,
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about how the Cowboys should approach free agency in the
well,
draft.
Zach, you could take Zach
They
Martin
did
off that list. He's retired.
they did re-sign Osu Odigizua.
Odigizua, yeah,
I got it
Odigizua.
right that time. Odigizua.
Yeah, yeah, good
Yeah, good
job.
for me. He resigned yesterday, the day before, so he's no longer free. And yeah. Zach Martin
Man, you
retired.
know what?
I bet you Zach Martin, if the opportunity opened up, he would come back and play one more season. But I don't know. I don't know him personally, so maybe not.
No,
But
that's
but this team has been trying to rebuild their offensive line. I mean, this used to be the hallmark of the Dallas Cowboys, and now
did it ever.
Tyron Smith is no longer here. I mean, whoever played right tackle is no longer walking through that door. The kid from Northern Illinois is no longer on this team.
Doug Free. He was the
Yeah,
first
Doug
one to go.
Free.
He
Yeah,
was
I
the
know.
first one.
He's been gone for like a decade. I don't even know why I still talk about him. But
Hey,
the center on this team is no longer on this team. Like this,
just to put into reference how good Zach Martin is. Real quick, David, look up how long Zach Martin played.
okay, hold on.
Oh, I got it right here. I'm sorry. 11 years. Zach Martin played 11 years.
He's probably a borderline first ballot Hall of Famer.
171 starts, 9 all pros, 9.
Scratch that.
Seven,
He's first ballot Hall of Famer.
7 of those out of the 9, 7 were first team, 9-time Pro Bowlers. In 11 years, do you know how many holding penalties were accepted on Zach Martin?
I'm gonna go with 7.
Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
Let's go. Look at me. Good for me.
7. So in 11 years, 11 fantastic years, you got called for holding 7 times. 7. That means you were barely called for a hold a season.
With Zach Martin retiring, it leaves a major hole in their offensive line. I mean, that's got to be priority number 1. We talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They also need to address run stoppers as this team became a basically Swiss cheese unit on defense. They still need another wide receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb. And one of the things about this Cowboys team from last week, Rico Dowell was fine, really, but they had one of the worst rushing attacks in the NFL. And I think if you want to do what the Dallas Cowboys want to do, this has to be a team that runs the football. I believe Dak Prescott just restructured some of his money today. So they freed up some cap space. I haven't looked at the free agency market. We're going to do that show next week. I don't think there's anybody you can take a free agent you can get in free agency that's going to be a difference maker at the running back position. Like Saquon Barkley's not out there. Derrick Henry's not out there. Josh Jacobs isn't out there this time around. You're going to have to address that need in the draft.
No, it's a lot of second tier, third tier guys.
Yeah. I mean, whether that be an Atagenti at
Yeah, Ashton Jeanty at
12,
12.
or if you're going to address that in the second round with the kid from like North Carolina or the kid from
Omari
Ohio
Howard.
State. Yeah. So
Ohio State got 2 of them.
3, I think, actually.
I know
I don't
two
know.
for
I
I
don't-
know two for sure that can get drafted. I don't if they have a third one. I don't think he's draft eligible.
Yeah,
But
maybe
anyway,
not.
like, if you're the Dallas, like there's a narrative, not a narrative, but a narrative's not a good word for it, but it's the word that came to mind. Like it's folks, it's people out there, it's media pundits out there saying trade Micah, like just blow it all up. And when you look at your divisional rival get Debo Samuel for a 5th,
Mm-hmm.
it begs the question, like, motherfucker, did you even try? You know you need a receiver outside of CD Lamb to give to give another weapon to Dak Prescott. And you see him go to Washington for a 5th round pick. It begs the question, like, bro, did you try?
Yeah, and basically, I mean, I think you have to try to keep Kevontae Turpin. Like, this is a Dallas Cowboys team that,
Him and the special teams, him and the kick return,
yeah,
total game changer. Like he can flip a game.
I mean, and you have some needs in the secondary as well. Deron Bland, the future. I mean, he outside of that season where he broke that record for interceptions or pick sixes, he hasn't been that good. He's just been okay. He also has been able to stay healthy. Same with Trayvon Diggs. I think they're okay at safety. I like Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker, both good football players.
And I said that because it was the year they got Stephon Gilmore. It was like you had a nice 3-headed monster because Stephon Gilmore, while still serviceable, Stephon Gilmore is not DPOY Stephon Gilmore anymore. And you're looking at it like, damn, bro, like we got dogs at our top 3 corner spots. You got Trayvon Diggs, who's DB1. You got Deron Bland, like David said, coming off a career year. You throw Stephon Gilmore in the slot, and to take the opposition's wide receiver number 3, and you I like my chances. And then what happens? Diggs gets hurt. It's like, damn. It's like we finally got it. It feels like we finally got, and that's kind of been like the narrative with Dallas for a long time now. It's like, damn, going into the season, it's like, hey, we finally got this thing right, and then something goes wrong. And
let's talk about top 3 priorities for Dallas before we move on.
Oh my God.
I mean, I think number 1's got to be revisit this offensive line, retool it. 2, get another weapon outside of CeeDee Lamb, and then 3, it's probably address the running back situation. I don't think you can go to
one.
Okay.
I have no issue with the first 2. Address the offensive line.
Yeah.
Get another offensive weapon. I have no issue with those 2. My third one, dead ass, Jerry Jones got to go.
Yeah, but that's not realistic at all. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
No. Stephen Jones is at this point. Stephen Jones has to force a coup. I'm not even. I'm being funny, but I'm not being funny. I'm full of Mountain Dew Baja Blast liquor right now. And I'm so serious. Stephen Jones got to get the other parties that's in that office and say, they got to sit him down and say, Dad, well, they don't call him Dad. He calls him Jerry. Jerry, you ain't doing this no more.
It's never going to happen. But
No. Sign whatever you need to sign to move all this shit over to me, and I take over from this day forward. Because you can't sit here with a straight face and tell me that Stephen Jones would have hired Brian Schottenheimer to coach this fucking team.
No, he wouldn't have.
But to be for real, my third priority for them, Get an actual head coach. Get somebody in the building who knows what the hell they're doing.
To the Washington Commanders, one of the surprise teams in the NFL last season, made it all the way to the NFC title game before they got beat down by the Philadelphia Eagles. They got the 29th overall pick in this upcoming draft. They do have some big-time names in free agency, including that were valuable in a team that was a definite resurgence. Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, Dante Fowler Jr., Zach Ertz, who has said he wants to come back. Amoyle Zaccheaus, who was the second leading receiver in the regular season. Noah Igbenogany, Dewame Brown, who was awesome in the playoffs.
Diami. Ain't no whatever. That's his name. Be respectful. Diami. Say it with me.
Diami.
There you go.
Sheldon Day, Noah Brown, Jerry McNichols, backup running back, Austin Seibert, pretty good kicker. They got $64 million in cap space. Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, head coach GM, Mark Klaus, team president, Commanders. How should they approach free agency and the draft, as they got some big time names there in free agency with a bunch of money to spend as well?
Okay, well, so you feel comfortable if Zaccheaus walks away, because you and matter of fact, you feel comfortable if Zaccheaus is Noah Brown a receiver? Yeah, yes. Right. So you feel comfortable if Zaccheaus, Brown, both Browns walk away, because
I know they just got Deebo Samuel, but I think they're going to try to keep.
I will keep De'Ami Brown.
Yeah, I would keep. He was awesome in the playoffs. He actually had more receiving yards in the playoffs than he did in the regular season.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So. But that's also kind of like that just goes to show you like the mystery that is football. Like it's always expect the unexpected. You don't expect on a team that they like on the team with Terry McLaurin's the top receiver and Zach Ertz has a bit of a renaissance. You don't expect De'Ami Brown.
Yeah, he was the second leading receiver in the playoffs for the Commanders.
So yeah, you don't expect that.
Yeah. But I mean, talking about the draft with the 29th overall pick, I still think this offensive line a little bit overachieved last season. Even though they do have some solid pieces on. I mean, Andrew Wiley, versatile Super Bowl champion, Nick Algretti, Super Bowl champion, Tyler Biadasz was good for Dallas for many seasons before coming over here. Brandon Coleman at left tackle, still kind of a question mark. Sam Cosmi got banged up towards the end of last season, and he's just been okay as a pro. There has been some conversation around Jonathan Allen trade. Those conversations have kind of died down just a little bit. But, I mean, he would get you an enormous haul.
He would get you, depending on who's depending on who he goes to, yeah. I'm really surprised because I'm surprised they didn't move off him when earlier, when they moved off Sweat and they moved off Chase Young. I'm surprised they didn't move off him.
Well, I don't think they necessarily had somebody to replace him at the time. And I mean, now you have Johnny Newton, who was fantastic as a rookie. He could step right into that defensive tackle.
My boy
position.
Johnny Newton. I've been big on Johnny Newton. I told y'all about Johnny Newton. Told y'all. But yeah.
But I mean, this is also a team that has some major needs at corner, right? I mean, Mike Sannenstill was pretty good as a rookie. Marshawn Lattimore, you traded for from the Saints, is getting a little bit older, and he wasn't all that effective this most recent season. Benjamin St-Juste is probably not a starting NFL corner, and I do believe he is a free agent anyways.
So same thing with Jeremy Chin, solid vet.
Yeah. And then Noah Igbenogany was a cast-off from Miami, where he was drafted a couple seasons ago. I'm not sure how much you care if he goes. Michael Davis, another guy, spent a little bit of money on free agency on him to get him from the Chargers.
You look at the
he didn't play much last season. So
you look at the name on this list. A few of them are cast-offs. It feels weird saying Bobby Wagner and cast-off in the same sentence.
I don't think that's really the way it worked out. But I mean,
it feels like it though.
Not really. I mean, he played that one season with LA. He went back to Seattle, and then he came here, anchored this defense in Washington.
But it's like if you look at how he left Seattle the first go round.
For sure. But he was so good in LA. Did he win a Super Bowl? I don't think he did. And then he goes back to Seattle. And then he comes here, and I would resign him. I would make that a legitimate priority. I don't think you should let a guy who's a veteran, a leader, a guy who's good in your locker room. I don't think you let a guy like that walk.
Me personally, I know this isn't old, but it's football old. Bobby Wagner is 34. He turns 35 this June. I honestly see or wonder how much you have left, because we literally just saw 29-year-old Sam Hubbard retire.
Yeah. Today.
And Sam Hubbard could have easily gotten another deal.
And it also appears that Dante Fowler Jr., he seems to only play well when he's being coached by Dan Quinn. So,
I'm looking at Bobby Wagner. This is still a dude who played all 17 games.
Yeah.
17 starts. 132 tackles. 132. Well, 132 combined tackles. He had 75 solo tackles. He had 2 sacks. He had 10 TFLs, tackle for loss. He had 4 pass deflections, no interceptions. He had 1 forced fumble. He had 2 fumble recoveries. So you're going into that by the time, free agency starts next week?
So it opens on the 10th. So players can sign contracts on the 12th.
Okay, so you're going into this knowing, hey, in June, when June rolls around, you're getting ready to start mini camp. Yeah, you're getting ready to start. If you're not starting mini camp by then, mini camp, OTA, same thing. That should be getting ready to kickstart, because the Hall of Fame game is literally August.
It's until August. I mean, you got 3 months between then and then.
So June, July, August. So by the time his birthday rolls around, you're probably in OTAs. Are they voluntary by that? Yeah, they're voluntary by that point. You going into this knowing that Bobby Wagner is going to be 35. Do you think you can, first off, play all 17 games again? Of course, Bobby Wagner is going to say yes. I'm with you on I bring him back.
I think the money will be very interesting. Yahoo has the Commanders taking Josh Cornerly, junior, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, winner of the Anthony Munoz Award. This pick becomes even more value because not only does Sam Cosmi get banged up, he tore his ACL late in the season and could miss most of 2025, if not all of 2025. So if he's still there, I mean, they have to address offensive line regardless. Their other 2 needs, when you talk about priorities, it's still tight end. I mean, Zach Ertz is not going to be able to play forever, and then they could use a third corner. But, I mean, this team has addressed a bunch of their needs, and, this is a team that the sky is the limit, and they continue, as long as you have Jaden Daniels on it, what is a rookie contract still, build around what is a rookie contract. That's why they were able to get Deebo Samuel for literally, they were like, we'll just take this guy.
But you know my logic.
Got to do it again.
Got to do it again.
Yeah.
So if y'all watching Washington, and it's already happened, when they talk about threats to the Eagles, you already know they mentioning Washington, they mentioning the Rams, and I'm like, y'all get so sold after one season. What happens? I'm not wishing this. I'm not wishing it. But what happens if Washington starts the next season and Jaden Daniels struggles? What happened? Because that can happen.
Yep.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it could. So again, y'all so quick to crown the next dude. And then when they come
they kind of did the same thing with CJ Stroud, right? And then when he had quote unquote a down season this most recent year,
a little bit of adversity.
Yeah,
it was like we gotta abandon ship, kind of. That's the vibe.
Moving on from the Commanders,
CBS has them taking a defensive lineman.
I mean, they still have that need too, especially if they trade away Jonathan Allen. So
it's the same school. It's like you say Yahoo hasn't taken the offensive lineman out of Oregon. Yeah. This one hasn't taken Derek Harmon, defensive lineman out of Oregon. So
to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. They got the 32nd overall pick in this upcoming draft. They have some big time free agents, as a team that wins the Super Bowl usually does. Darius Slay, who they cut earlier this week, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, Zach Vaughn, who they just re-signed today. I just had not had a chance to take him off the graphic. Kai Becton, Avante Maddox, Milton Williams, who was one of their most valuable players in the Super Bowl. Kenneth Gainwell, Isaiah Rodgers, Fred Johnson, Rick Lovato. They're going to have $22 million with the cap space. Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, Don Slomensky is the team president. How else do the Eagles approach free agency and the draft as they try to defend their Super Bowl title in 2025?
Bring everybody back. I think you can get Darius Slay back on a cheaper deal, on a cheap deal.
Yeah, me too. This isn't the first time that the Philadelphia. I think didn't they cut him a couple years ago, and then he ended up coming back anyways.
Yeah, I think Darius Slay can come back on a cheaper deal. I think Mekhi Becton comes back on the cheaper deal. I literally bring everyone back on this. And like you said, Zach Vaughn got signed today, so we already know he's back. I bring Mekhi Becton. I know Josh Sweat is. Ain't he looking for a deal? No, that was who was that? I think I'm confusing him with Hassan Reddick. Yeah, I'm confusing him with Hassan Reddick. It's I dead ass thought Brandon Graham was gonna retire. I thought
he still might. I mean, it's still pretty early in the process.
Yeah, it is still.
So he could potentially retire today or tomorrow. I don't expect him to play again. Like he tore his bicep anyways. Like he was able to play in the Super Bowl. I mean, what else is there for him to prove? He's got 2 rings.
So
the crazy thing about Philadelphia is because of how well they've constructed this roster and the way that they've built from within, they don't have a lot of glaring needs. Yahoo has their biggest needs as edge rusher. That's only if you let Sweat and Milton Williams walk, and the only way your offensive line is you let Mekhi Becton walk. I don't think they let either of those things happen. I don't expect Milton Williams to be back on this team. I think he's going to be too expensive for them to return. But he was a rotation piece anyways. I mean, they still have Carter. They still have the other guy from Georgia.
Jordan Davis.
Team. Yeah. So
here's the thing with Milton, because he's an edge rusher, right? So
he's a defensive tackle, really.
So you got winning is addictive.
Yeah, but this is his first. They're not going to be able to afford to keep him. That's fine.
Winning is addictive. We said that for years about those Patriot teams. We said that for years, and they magically kept everybody. Somehow, some way, they magically kept everybody. They kept everybody that they wanted to keep, and it was always the people that we said were too expensive. We're gonna get paid somewhere else, and then you hear them say, "Yeah, I could have went elsewhere and got more money, but I like winning. I like winning." These guys have been addicted to winning the last 3 years. They want to win. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in 3 years?
Yeah.
You're
won the next season.
You're one Bradbury holding call away from having 2 rings. 3 if you're Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
These guys like winning. So if I'm Avante Maddox, if I'm Isaiah Rodgers, Kenneth Gainwell, I know what it is.
Both of those corners are expendable, and I don't expect either of them to return.
Darius Slay, I know what it is. Do I go to Detroit? Do I finish where I started in Detroit on a chance that we can win it? Or do I stay here in Philly where I know we can win it? Because I've done it. I know we can win here. I know Jalen Hurts can get the job done. I'm not sure if Jared Goff get in a high-pressure moment, he going to pull through for me.
And not to mention, they just made Saquon Barkley the highest paid running back in the history of the league, which he for sure deserved.
Come on
It's
now.
just still an offense that has a bunch of weapons. None of them are going anywhere. I mean, this offensive line continues to be excellent. None of them are going anywhere. As long as they re-sign B'Kai Becton, which I think they will.
Hey,
Um,
and this is the difference between the Lorries and literally every other own. Like, what do the owners of great teams do? They shut up. They don't say nothing.
yeah.
They spin. They shut up. They spin. Every owner that shut up don't spin the way they spin. McCaskies. They don't say nothing. They let Harry Roseman do his job, and the results take care of themselves. I don't even know what Jeffrey Lurie looked like,
I
but
don't either, actually. So,
but I know what Jerry Jones looked like. I know what he sound like, and I know he good for one sound. I know he good for one crazy sound bite a day.
yeah. Glory holes.
Like, it is what it is. Like, if I'm Philly,
Man, you should really watch his unhinged press conference where he introduced like Brian Schottenheimer. It's must see TV.
Is it Al Davis firing?
No, I mean it's for sure up there, but he didn't pull out the overhead projector for this, but it's on hinge as hell, dude. Like it's
if I'm Philly, so I'm literally drafting from 32, 64, 96, 129. I'm literally drafting for depth.
I'm taking the best player available at every single.
I will literally
whoever it is, like whatever position it is, it doesn't matter.
I will literally trade 162, 166, and 169 for future draft capital, whatever it may be. I don't care if it's literally for that same pick a year later.
Yahoo has them potentially taking Zach Sawyer, the edge out of Ohio State. Who had that great game against.
CBS has them taking Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State. So they go. So
and their major needs are going to be edge rusher, offensive line, priority 1 and priority 2. Priority 3 is trying to replace offensive coordinator again. This is the third time in 4 seasons. They're going to have to find a new offensive coordinator. Kevin Patolo is their offensive coordinator, even though I think Nick Sirianni calls the offensive plays for Philadelphia, but he is now the offensive coordinator. He was the passing game coordinator and associate head coach the last 2 seasons.
Look, man, all I know is if I'm Jalen Hurts, when I get that ring, when they do the ring ceremony and they drop the banner, and they ask, no, wait, he should have did it when he got the truck when they at the Super Bowl, when they won it, and they asked him shit. Because that's the difference between me and Jalen Hurts. See, I'm ignorant. I know I'm ignorant. David know I'm ignorant. David uses a different word for it, but I know I'm ignorant. The word we use around here is disrespectful. I'm disrespectful. I, for sure, if I'm Jalen Hurts, I 100% would have said, what the fuck they going to say now? What can they say? Hey, so dead ass, like, if you're Jalen Hurts, you go into the next seat, like, what can they say now? Y'all talk about Joe Burrow, y'all talk about Josh Allen, Lamar, and how they're better than me, and so on and so forth. What they gonna say now?
And on that note,
because Joe Burrow catch love for beating Pat Mahomes and losing the Super Bowl.
Yeah, true.
I beat him for a Super Bowl. We are not the same. What they gonna say now?
This has been our 2025 NFL offseason preview of the NFC East, and this wraps up our NFL offseason previews. We have previewed all 8 divisions. If you want to go back and watch any of that content, it's on our Facebook, it's on our YouTube, it's on our Twitter account. So go ahead and check out all that stuff. So please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. This is Prime Sports World, and this is what we do here at Prime Sports World. I'm David Huffman, and that's still the birthday boy, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And before we get up out of here, T.J., how are you spending your birthday? You got anything going on?
I went out to dinner earlier, because it's a weekday, so I don't want to like the weekend though. I'm meeting up with some family, and we gonna partake that way.
Yeah, hell yeah. Good for you, brother. But yeah, you enjoy the rest of your birthday, man. And what do we do here at Prime Sports World, my friend?
we bring the heat, and we could use it a little bit because that wind,
Dude, brother, it's snowing here in Fort Wayne, brother.
that wind is disrespectful. That wind is so disrespectful.
We'll be back here next week, breaking down all the stuff going on with NFL free agency, and we're going to hit you with our first mock draft next week. So Christian Simpson, I think, is going to join us for that show. So you don't want to mess from the Daily Blitz blog. If you want to go check out his most recent mock draft, that's on the Daily Blitz blog right now. So you can go check that out. Y'all have a good night and stay safe out there. This is our quick message from our sponsor, the Huddle Sports Network. Y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe. And TJ, enjoy the rest of your birthday, my friend.
Will do, man. Take care.
Peace.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.